Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. So it's been a couple of weeks since we've done an odds and ends video, and I've got some stuff starting to stack up over here that we need to get through. And so we're gonna take the opportunity this week to just kind of do a little odds and ends episode. I will tell you guys that over the weekend I got out in the shop and shot a little video of me doing a little quick project at the museum, and I came home, downloaded my video, and for some reason that I'm really not 100% sure on, I had some pretty major audio problems with pretty much all the video that we shot out there, and it was so bad that I just said, you know what, I can't use this. So not going to have a shop project for y'all this week, even though we did a little machining out there, making some little bearing holders, basically doing some boring on the milling machine for a bearing to do a press fit down into. But I've done that before, and or similar operations before, and probably will do it again down the road at some point in time. So hopefully you guys will get to see that then. So let's go ahead and we'll start going through some items here. This is going to mostly be viewer mail. We'll try to include a little bit of news along the way, some things going on, and see what else ends up in here. So first item here that we're going to go through comes from a YouTube viewer up outside the Huntsville, Alabama area, Neil Tyson. And so I have to travel around with my job quite frequently, and Huntsville is an area that that area up there is an area that I get into from time to time. And one of my previous trips up there, I hooked up with Tom Utley, who's another one of my YouTube viewers, and we kind of just visited one afternoon when I had some time, and had a really good chat, and we've since then kind of stayed in contact via email. And anyway, when I let him know that I was coming up again, he actually hooked me up with Neil, who is again one of my other YouTube viewers. In fact, if you remember the little key plug project that we did for the Crescent joiner, that was actually done for Neil, who was restoring a Crescent Universal Woodworker. Well, Neil ended up having myself and Tom just come over to the shop and visit while I was up in the area this time. And we had a really good time, probably spent an hour or two, had dinner together, and then went over to his shop and spent an hour or two just kind of looking at everything he had, and really enjoyed myself. But while I was there, Neil had a couple little goodies he wanted to send back home with me. So these were not mailed to me, but instead I just picked them up in person, which was kind of a fun thing to do. So let's show you what all Neil had for me. So first thing that I'm going to grab out of the box here is this big tap. So this is a Acme thread. It's a 1 3/8 4 left hand. And it's interesting because it's actually a full depth Acme tap. And more than likely, when you're actually cutting this thread, you would have had a smaller tap here that would have only cut about half the depth here, and then you'd finish it up with the second one. In fact, a lot of Acme taps have both the half cut and the full cut built into the same tap. So you run it through first, and it cuts about half the depth, and then it gets to a certain point, and then it goes to the full depth. But anyway, this is a 1 3/8 4 left hand Acme tap. Don't know what I'll ever use it for, but you know, Acme stuff comes up quite often with me working on this old machinery, and left hand Acme stuff, probably about half the Acme stuff I've dealt with has actually been left hand. So who knows, this may actually come in handy. In fact, I did a project, I think it was actually before I started doing the YouTube videos, that was about this size, and I don't remember, and it was left hand. I don't remember if it was 1 3/8 4 or not, but if it had been, it'd been great, because I actually was cutting the threads on a shaft, but I had a nut that I was fitting it with. It'd been really nice to be able to chase that nut and just kind of clean it up. But anyway, nice tap. This will go in. I've got several Acme taps now, and I will put these with the other ones, and one of these days hopefully we'll find a use for it and be able to use it. All right, up next here we got a couple of end mills. So 2 end mills here. These are both 3/4 inch high-speed steel end mills, and Neil said he picked them up somewhere or another, but he can't use them in his he's got a little Bridgeport mill, but because they're double-ended and they're so long that basically it won't go up in the collet far enough to get down here on the shank. on his particular machine. Goes into the R8 collet and then it starts bottoming out where the thread comes into the top. So knowing that I had the horizontal mill and have a little bit more flexibility on some stuff like this, he said, well, maybe I can put these to use. He couldn't use them on his machine. Let's see, one of these is marked Cleveland, and the other one does not have a name on it. It just says 3/4 inch high speed steel. And as long as we're looking at end mills, he also sent me 2 brand new Niagara cutters, and these are the same, and these are 1 inch, yes, 1 inch end mills, brand spanking new in the box. I don't believe they've ever been used, and he said he picked these up somewhere. But again, his Bridgeport mill won't go up to 1 inch. But again, on my on the Kerner Trekkie, not a problem. We can easily use these on the horizontal mill. So anyway, some nice end mills here. And the final thing that was in his box was just a hunk of lead. It says, was it Gardner solder? So probably this was used back in the days when they soldered pipes with lead. Which is kind of frowned upon now for health reasons. But anyway, he thought I might be able to use this, knowing that I do some lead hammers from time to time, and that's probably what this will end up in, is a lead hammer. So all in all, Neil sent along some nice items back, and even better than that, we got a chance to visit and talk, and really had a pleasant evening. Nice distraction, beat sitting in a hotel room while on the road, getting a chance to go and visit a fellow viewer's personal shop and getting to kind of swap some stories and share information back and forth. A great time was had by all. And Neil, I hope that when I come back up into the Huntsville area again down the road, that we'll have a chance to meet up again. So thanks a lot. So next up here, we got some items. Again, this time wasn't sent to me in the mail, but again, instead was hand delivered to me. In this case, I had a viewer, Roy Reynolds. Roy is from out in Texas, and he was in the area and stopped by the museum one Saturday while I was out working, and spent most of the day out with me chatting and talking about things and helping me work on a couple of different projects. And he brought along several items that I want to share with you. And I'll also mention that sometime back, it was probably back last fall or so, Roy came through Tifton and brought along the great big steam whistle and a steam pump that he donated to the museum, and also had the track tool that was a mystery tool at the time. And if you remember, that was right before all my camera equipment got stolen. And when my camera stuff got stolen, I had shown you guys the introduction to the mystery tool, but I wasn't able to get the video off my camera before it was stolen to show you what the mystery tool was. And we did tell you what was a track tool, but Roy actually got a friend of his to go out and do some videos showing him how to use the track tool. So I'm going to tack that video on to the end here, just to kind of give some closure to that. Yes, it's been quite some time ago when all that happened, but anyway, we'll go ahead and put that in there, and hopefully you guys will get to see a pretty interesting tool in action. But before we do that, before we break to that, let me show you what all Roy brought. And he did also bring along another little mystery tool, and we'll show that as well. So Roy does some wood carving, and he brought along for my wife and my 2 daughters some little Texas star earrings that are carved out of cedar, and of course they had little earring backs on them. And I had to confiscate these from my wife and children to show them to you guys in the video, but Roy, they really appreciate it and really like them. And in addition, he also sent along a couple other little items that were hand carved. He made me a little Texas star tie tack. So this one just kind of clips on a little pin on the back, and got some Texas cowboy boots, and I think that was a helmet or something. I can't remember what he told me that was, but anyway, just some little items that were handmade by Roy. But Roy also brought me along an item that he wanted me to put on as a mystery tool and see if you guys knew what it was. So, here you go. This is the mystery tool. All right, works kind of like a pair of pliers. It has a stem in here, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but when it comes out, there's a little piece that comes out with a little extension on there. So, I don't know if anybody knows what this is. I will tell you, it is not a machinist tool. It's not really even a woodworking tool. But I would be willing to bet that some of you guys will know what this is. And I'm not going to drag this out like we did before. I'm going to go ahead and show what this tool is for right now. And if you know what it is, you can send me a note and say that you knew it, and we'll just have to trust you that you did. No prizes or anything like that. But what this tool is for, this is actually a tool that probably a jeweler would use, and it would be used for taking the pins out of a link of a band on a metal watch band. So there are pins through here, and this watch band will fit right down into this slot, and you just line that little pin up with the hole and press it out. And I'm not going to do it. It's a little aggravating to get it lined up just right, but that little pin in there works just like a punch pin, keeps it in line, and it presses these pins out. So you can take a link out of a chain on a watch, or any bracelet, I guess, would work the same way, or to add or remove links. So anyway, interesting tool. When he showed it to me, I did not know what it was, but he quickly educated me and told me what it was used for. So Roy, thanks for stopping by and spending the day with me at the museum. We got to spend a little time up on the locomotive, which Roy actually has quite a bit of steam locomoting experience and doing track work. He worked on the Huckleberry Railroad for some time, and anyway, he I think enjoyed coming out and getting a chance to play around on the railroad a little bit as well. So we really enjoyed your visit, Roy. Thank you for the items, and we're going to cut to now and show you the video that Roy produced showing how to use the track tool that was our mystery tool. I think it was back in Odds and Ends number 9, and I'll put a link up in case anybody wants to go back and watch that old video that shows, it has a segment in there showing this tool as a mystery tool.
Hello, this is Roy Reynolds. In Keith Rucker's Odds and Ends number 6, he presented a mystery tool. He described it in Odds and Ends number 8. Since his camera and video was stolen, I am demonstrating the tool's use with the help of Don Arbor of CTP TV. The tool is composed of 6 castings and a handle to be able to perform 3 different day-to-day functions of maintaining railroad track. I think it was made around Chicago in the early 1900s. By combining the jaw and adjustable stand correctly, it is possible to put the plates between the bottom of the rail and the tie by raising the rail with the jaw and adjustable stand, as my assistant is doing. This is faster than using a track jack. By using the rail clamp and hook, the clamp goes over the rail, the hook catches the cross tie, and the tie can be straightened across the track, or if 2 tools are used, the tie spacing can be changed. There are 3 jaws to accommodate different rail sizes. Using the jaw and prop along with the notch support, the track can be shifted sideways or aligned. If several were done together in light ballast, a number of men could easily line a lot of track. A lot of the mainline track back then was no heavier than this rail is, with sand, gravel, light rock, or even dirt for ballast. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope that you got something out of this. I'm sorry to hear that Keith lost his video equipment, but thanks to Don here, we replaced this. Now, the real difference between this and the Agri-Rama track is this is standard gauge, and theirs is 3 foot. Plus this is 90-pound rail, and theirs is a whole lot smaller. So, but basically track is track. This thing was made for basically standard gauge. Hope we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
So the next item came in the mail probably a week or so ago from John DeRosa up in West Dundee, Illinois. And John has sent in some items before. He has a little business where he sells taps and related stuff, Tap and Die 911 on eBay. He's got an eBay store, and he goes around to estate sales and what have you, and buys up all kinds of old taps and dies and what have you. And he's got a little eBay store where he sells them. And he's actually helped me out a couple of times finding some stuff that I needed for some projects that I greatly appreciate. And he just occasionally will send me an email or note or whatever, and such was the case here. And I'm going to read the letter here because I don't think John will mind because it kind of sets up what he sent along. So he said, I know you often work on large, underlined capital, bold letters, often work on large machining projects like your VictorSafe Advanced Planer Matchers. As you know, I buy big, and he's got that underlined, capitalized, and bold, a collection of taps, dies, etc. at estate sales and online. In my latest purchase, I received the enclosed massive reamer. I currently don't have any enormous projects in which I could use this colossal reamer, so I thought that you would find it hugely useful. I enjoy the videos. Keep them coming. Thank you, and best regards, John. So I'll zoom you in here, and we'll show you the big, massive reamer he sent. So he put it in this nice little package here, and I've already cut into it. And let me dig down in here. And here, this gigantic, massive reamer. So let's see if we can get a rough measurement on what size it is. So bringing out my calipers, coming in here, it's kind of hard to measure this. I'm just going to kind of spin it around, and it measures, it looks like about 72 thousandths. 0.072 is roughly the diameter of that. It might even be 70 thousandths. I don't see any writing on here, but pretty small. Or excuse me, pretty big and massive and colossal. But thanks a lot, John. I do appreciate it. I've actually got a bunch of smaller reamers. I don't know if I've got one quite this small, but I will put them in my little cabinet with the rest of my reamers, and you never know, this might come in handy one day. So thanks for sending that along. And in addition to the reamers that he sent along, he also sent along a couple of these little Starrett decimal equivalent charts, and it has both fractional, and I think it has the numbers and letter sizes on here, but it also has the metric equivalents in both some from millimeters to decimal, so that you can do a quick conversion if you get something that comes in metric and need to convert it over to empirical. So this is very handy for me because I'm quite honestly not very proficient in the metric system. To some people will probably gasp at that, but I've just always worked in the empirical measurements in inches and thousandths of an inch, and my brain doesn't always do the conversions very fast. So both of these will be very handy. These are nice to keep in the toolbox to make a quick reference of. I've got a wall chart pretty much everywhere I have that has the decimal equivalents for the fractional and the number sizes, but I don't have the millimeters to decimals. So that right there will be very handy. And even though I got the wall chart, sometimes you just need to have it right there in a card that you can grab and use very easily. So the next couple of items are going to be some purchases that I've made recently. both some tooling that I've needed for some stuff coming up, and then just some bargains, I guess you could say, I could find. Also some things that I needed, but just found what I thought was a good deal, so I went ahead and got them. So we'll go ahead and work through these and kind of show you what all we got. So the first item I've got here is I went and invested in a set of expanding mandrels. And this is an expanding mandrel is a tool. I'll pull this one out right here to kind of show you this and illustrate how it is used. So an expanding mandrel is basically a two-piece thing. One part of it is kind of just a tapered shaft, and then you got another piece that has the exact same taper in there, but you see these little cuts in it. It's made where it can slide on that taper, and as it slides down, it literally expands the diameter of this. And this is used for if you need to turn something between centers to be able to hold in place. They make tapered mandrels for different sizes, but you really have to have a lot of them for the range of that you have. So this set here goes from 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and to kind of show you how it's used, here's a bushing, and this is exactly what I need it for. I've got to turn some bronze bushings, and the inside on diameter of them is exactly what I want. The outside diameter needs to be turned down to basically match a machine profile. So I need to be able to turn that outside diameter. So using this, you would put that in there, expand the mandrel out, kind of tap it in place, and that will hold that on there. And you put this between centers in the lathe and turn it, and it will turn perfectly true with the bore on the inside. So these are great for all kinds of applications, particularly like a bushing, where you really don't have room to chuck it. And even if you did chuck it from inside, it would probably have a little bit of run out. But turning between centers, you should be able to take that run out of it. And it's just a perfect application for that. And again, I have some just standard mandrels, but I don't have really, I've just kind of bought the few that I needed from time to time. So you'll probably see these in some upcoming videos where we're going to be using them to, again, turn some bronze bushings. But anyway, I went ahead and invested in this set. Quite honestly, this is an import set. It's not a American made. I've always preferred to get American made tools, but on something like this, the import stuff, it's just hard to beat the price. And you're talking about, just basically something that was ground to run true. It's a pretty simple item to make, and quite honestly, the quality of these is good enough. So I went ahead and bought an import set, and we're going to be using these. Next item here is again a piece of tooling for a job I've got coming up. And what this is a little horizontal mill cutter. It's actually for cutting gear teeth. This is what's called an involute cutter. And they came in sets for different diametrical pitches and for the different number of teeth on the gear that you're cutting. And you would have to use the right cutter with the right profile on it to cut the gear you're using. So the museum has an old blacksmith blower that is needing to be rebuilt, and we tore it apart a couple of weeks ago, and some of the gears in there are just nearly stripped out. And anyway, we're gonna make some new gears for it coming up down the road, and I need actually two different involute cutters. So the diametrical pitch on these gears is 14, so it means if you were to measure around the diameter, it'd be 14 teeth on the gear per inch. And I can't remember the exact number of teeth on the different gears, but I looked it up in the chart. Basically, I need two of the involute cutters. The number 3, which is the one I have here, and then I also need a number 8 for a 14 diametrical pitch, 14.5 degree pressure angle. So anyway, I found this one on eBay, and I think they wanted like $15, $20 for it, and I just went ahead and bought it. I have not found the number 8 yet, so I'm going to be looking for that. Worst case, you can order a new one from Travers or someplace like that, MSC, and that cutter's about $50. So it's not a terribly expensive brand new, but if I can find a used one a little bit cheaper, I'll probably end up going that way. So it's going to be a little while before we probably get to that project. So I'll be looking out for the other one we need to finish this project out. This is the number 3 for a 14 diametrical pitch, 14.5 degree pressure angle, and again I need the number 8 for a 14 diametrical pitch, so on. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that other one. Next item here is a nice little brown and sharp box. So you guys know I have an affinity for the little red and white Starrett boxes, but I also really like brown and sharp tools and tooling. Anyway, I was been looking for a while now for a indicator that will read down to a tenth. I've got several indicators that read down to a thousandth of an inch, and even let's say my Starrett last word will read to a half thousandth, but I've had a need recently several times for something that would read to a tenth of a thousandth of an inch. So I've been kind of keeping an eye out, and this one popped up on eBay the other day, and had a good starting price. I ended up bidding on it, and I won this nice best test brown sharp indicator, thousandth of an inch, in the box in practically mint condition. I mean, it has been used some, but it's in really, really nice shape. Has good action on it, but I think the winning bid on it was like $46 or $47, which I thought was a very reasonable price, particularly for the condition that it's in. So anyway, I went ahead and pulled the trigger on that, and I'm real excited. This looks like a really well built, very nice indicator. I've got, I think, one other brown and sharp indicator, but this one I think is actually a nicer one than the other one I have. So I'm real tickled to get this. And again, you'll probably be seeing this in some videos down the road, because like I said, I've needed this several times recently. Next item here is also a recent eBay purchase, and this time we got a Starrett box. So I was stuck in a hotel room a week or two ago, just bored, didn't have anything to do, had pretty much caught up on YouTube videos, looking at my other people's channels, and ended up on eBay just kind of looking to see what I could find. So I was looking at some Starrett items, and this one popped up. So what is this? So this is a 7 to 8 inch, is that right? Yeah, 7 to 8 inch micrometer. Starrett in the box. They had it listed as buy it now for $50, which I thought was a pretty reasonable price. But they also had the option on there to make an offer. So I said, what the heck? I'll make an offer. You know, worst thing they can do is tell me no. So I put in an offer of $35 for it. And lo and behold, about 20 minutes later, it came back and they said it was mine. So I bought this thing. You know, looking at the pictures on an auction, a lot of times on something like this, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what condition it's in. And I was very, very happy when I opened this box up. You look on the inside of this box, and it's clean, which tells me it probably wasn't used a lot, because if it was used a lot, you'd have oil stains in here from where people were touching the inside of the box. Machine shops always oily hands and what have you. The paper in here is clean. And then when I looked at the actual mic itself, it's very clean as well. And I was really tickled when I found out, because they just had a kind of an overview shot of this thing. It didn't have any close-ups, but this one is actually capable of measuring down to the tenth of a thousandth on it. So it has the little vernier scale on there, which you can measure to a tenth of a thousandth. It's a Starrett, let's see, number 436, in practically mint condition. I'm sure it's been used some, but it hasn't been used a lot. So one question I wanted to kind of figure out is about what age it was, and some of you Starrett collectors can probably give me an idea off the box that it's in, this wooden box. But I found some hints. So there were some papers in here, and I can only assume that the papers that are in here are original to the micrometer. You know, when Starrett sold something like this, even now they put little flyers in there for different things. And so there's some stuff in here on bandsaws and hacksaws. But if you look down on these, there's a printer's code, 747, which is a date code in this case, which means that this was printed in the 7th month of 1947. That one doesn't have a date code on it. That one there's the exact same one, 747. This one here was 1147. And this one right here was 448. So April of 1948. So we've got some paperwork in here that was printed in 1947, 1948. So I'm going to go with the assumption that, you know, this set of, this micrometer probably dates from roughly that same time period, you know, late 1940s. And again, very pleasantly surprised with the condition. It exceeded my expectations. Why a 7 to 8 inch range micrometer? Well, I've got a set of micrometers, a box set of micrometers that go up to 6 inches, and then I picked up another Starrett that goes 6 to 7 a while back. And then I said, well, 7 to 8, that's obviously the next one that I need. And for $35, what a heck of a deal. So I'm very happy with this. And this right here, you know, I can't say that I have a great need for big micrometers like this on a day-to-day basis, but they do get used from time to time. And I'm sure this one will get used likewise. I've got a set that goes up to 12 inches, but it's one of the sets that we have to change the anvils out. So you got one big micrometer and you can calibrate it for different lengths and change out anvils for different lengths, which is very usable, and you can get by with it. But it does take time to change the anvils out and to calibrate them. And in this case, you can just basically go pull it off the wall. I've got standards to check this with, but they're out at the museum, so I haven't actually checked this to see how close it is. But it's easy to adjust one and to calibrate one. And if need be, we can do that when the time comes. So anyway, very excited with my new Starrett caliper here, or micrometer. So last item here is a couple of air hoses that I picked up that I thought was a pretty good deal, and a little bit about these. So I was traveling on the road last week, and I was over again in Alabama, which is part of my territory that I work in. There's a little store, a little chain of stores over there that basically go around and they, when a business goes out of business or whatever, they buy up inventory and then just resell all kinds of stuff. So it's just kind of a, you know, just a lot of different stuff in there. And they always have tools and stuff that come in. And when I'm in the area and have some time, I'll usually swing through there and just kind of see what I can find. A lot of the tools, you know, are, you know, not your high-end, high-quality stuff, but every now and then, you know, you get lucky and you find that they have a whole bunch of stuff. I got lucky one time, found a bunch of really nice Nicholson made in USA files, brand spanking new, that were very, very reasonably priced. And, you know, I found some grinding stones, some Norton grinding stones in there one time for just dirt cheap, brand spanking new. So anyway, these hoses, the reason I got them, well, number one, you know, you can always use an air hose and they always something going wrong with them. But these looked, when I looked at them, they looked like they were pretty good quality. And I read on here, they're actually branded Goodyear, and it says Made in USA, oil resistant, has the brass tips on them. And the Made in USA is what really sold it for me. So hopefully these are good quality. I can't imagine, you know, having the Goodyear name on them and Made in USA on them. I'm hoping that they're good quality. They ought to be. These were $13.99 a roll. I don't know how long these are. I'm guessing they're probably 15, 20 feet each. It's kind of what it looks like. I haven't unrolled one yet, and they weren't really marked as how long they were. But anyway, I thought it was a good buy for $14 a piece. I just picked up 2 of them, and you'll probably, or they will get put to use at some point in time. I'll probably just put these up for right now. But air hoses are bad about blowing a leak in them at some time, and sometimes you just need to replace them. So I've got a couple of spares now for down the road. So that about wraps up this episode. But before we get out of here, just want to take a point of personal privilege, do a little bragging. As you guys have probably heard in some of my previous videos, my oldest daughter, Hannah, who's a competitive shooter and shoots a precision air rifle. This is her senior year in high school, and this last weekend, she went and competed in probably her last rifle match as a high schooler. Now she can continue on and shoot, later in her life. Really it's a sport that can be done throughout her life. But up to this point, she's been shooting on some different teams and competing at different competitions as part of those teams. Well, this last weekend was her last real match, and it was with the State of Georgia 4-H program, and they have a really good, strong shooting sports program here in Georgia 4-H, and we were up at the state precision air rifle match. And her team, which is all the kids that are on her 4-H team also shoot on her high school team. So it's a lot of the same kids. The high school team actually has a few more kids on it. This is a group out of that high school team. But they competed in the state 4-H air rifle match, and I'm proud to say that my daughter was the top overall shooter in the entire contest. So she outshot every single other shooter at the event, and was the high individual shooter, which in 4-H, being the state winner, makes you what you call a master 4-H'er. So you master in that particular activity. So she mastered as an individual, but in addition, the team she was on, there was 4 shooters on the team. They take the 3 top scores, but the 4 shooters together on that team all compete together, and you have a team score. And the 4 shooters on the team actually had the top 4 scores of any participants in the match. So their 4 shooters were the top 4 individual shooters, which obviously made them the #1 team in the state. So Hannah, along with her other teammates, also received master status for winning as a team. But she double mastered this weekend in 4-H, both as an individual and on team in precision air rifles. So Dad's real proud. She's actually mastered one other time in 4-H in another project area, and she'll be competing again for this summer for another item that she's up for at state level that she could potentially master in and be a 4-time master 4-H'er potentially. She's got 3 now. So anyway, I was real proud of that, and we were up at Rock Eagle 4-H Center in Eatonton, Georgia, all day Saturday pretty much with the rifle match, and I've been pretty involved with that program for some time, so I was helping them in the scoring room and doing some helping run the match up there. But anyway, I'm real proud of my daughter, and as you can probably tell by the smile on my face. So anyway, that's going to wrap up this episode of Odds and Ends. I want to thank you guys for all sticking in there and watching it to the end. All my many subscribers out there, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys more than you can ever know. And if you're not a subscriber, please do go ahead and click on that subscribe button, and we'll continue to bring you more content as long as we can. So thanks a lot. We'll see you guys later.